Fine. I'll give you a very brief introduction of what is
Yeah.
this, how it starts, and what are the advancements that are happening. Just a journey of this to start from. See,
Okay.
SAP is systems, applications, and products in data processing. It's a business software, and
Okay.
it all developed during 1970s. Five IBM employees they joined together to come out with this product. Initially, it was meant only for finance-related things. Later on, it extended into other modules also. The need and necessity, it's quite understandable. ERP, enterprise resource planning, is required in order to have proper valuation of how the machines are occupied, what sort of materials are being used, whether you are able to make proper investments and get enough profits, and human resource, whether it is being used to the optimum extent. So this is quite common in any business for that matter. As a result, in 1972, the year what I have written there, so they came out
Mhm.
with this idea, they started developing it, and R1 was released. Here, R and 1, R stands for real time data processing, and 1 indicates a single tier architecture. Real time data processing and single tier architecture. What is this real time data processing and architecture? If we just look into that, see, in
Okay.
business, it is required for us to understand what exactly at different plants, if at all it is very robust business, let us assume, like
Okay.
manufacturing mobile phones or manufacturing other electronic devices, you have many outlets for which you will be sending it out based on their requirements, based on the POs, whatever they create, the orders, what you get. Based on that, you'll be sending it. And manually
Yes.
or physically, it is very difficult to have a count to know how many have gone out, how many are in, how many are into production, what is the output every
Okay.
day from each machine, and so on. It is very difficult to have a manual count of all these things. So definitely a software is required in order to monitor this. So
Yeah.
they developed this, and this contains the architecture. What I mean has these three different layers: database layer, application layer, and presentation layer. These three layers. Earlier, all three were on single system. All three being implemented, this entire architecture on single system. You have database,
Okay.
application, presentation all together. Now, this had, of course, during 1970s, it was an invention to come out with this idea and proceed. See, database layer contains a lot of data which you would like to dig in whenever you need, and application layer is processing, which will present it on the presentation layer. Now, end users will be working on presentation layer. They don't know much into the implementation or programming part of that. It's just like
Okay.
when you visit any bank, you are going to provide your account details. They'll just look into the details. They'll furnish whatever you need as the information, whatever you are demanding. And if there is anything wrong, when system says that it is not able to fetch the data, they simply say there is some issue with the server. Hope you would have experienced it. And in recent
Yes.
times,
Yes.
due to due to banks merger, it may be even more. They keep saying that it's getting merged and it needs
Y-
some time in order to sync.
Yeah.
Well, of course, IBM is giving service for few banks. For few banks, Tata Consultancy Services, they are providing service, and it is not possible to have all migration within very short span. Even
Short
that
time.
is
Yeah.
understandable.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
each and every
Yeah.
bank.
We also faced this.
Yeah,
We also
so
faced this for around 3 4 months in my previous company.
yes, so this is something what we are seeing now also. So
Okay.
in real-time data processing, it becomes a limitation. So what they did is in 1980s, they came out with the R2 version, where
Okay.
they differentiated, rather separated this presentation layer and had database layer and application layer together, so that they can access the data and presentation layer could carry on with the work. So this two-tier client-server architecture of SAP R2 system was developed in 1980s. And
Okay.
as demand was more, it was getting spread to other languages, currencies in European countries, most of the European countries with different languages. And that is quite Obvious, we know that most of the nations like German, etc., they prefer their own language. They are not
Yes, yes,
accepting English, so they prefer
yes.
their own language. So this
Yeah.
was into multi languages and multi currencies during the 1980s. As demand
Okay.
increased, it went into uh, client server with two-tier client server architecture. So this proceeded. And later on, further advancements happened, and in 1992, the client server model with R3 was developed, which could work on Unix and Windows. So, client server model is preferred as mainframe computing architecture. It allows you to make changes or scale a particular layer into client server directly without making much changes in the entire system. Meaning to say, you can operate on database, application, presentation bit separately. As compared to earlier, it was further advancement in SAP, and slowly it has come up to R3 ECC. ECC stands for ERP central component, where you have the central control over the entire business, what is happening in and around to get to know. Well, in this, you can just imagine a robust company. It has its it plants in different locations, different regions, where they are functioning for different divisions or regions, and they are producing. So, sitting at one single point, they can get to know what is happening by the reports. If they just dig into that, they'll get to know what is happening in each and every corner which belongs to them in different units, what process is happening. So all
Okay.
being systematic synchronization. So the owner at the topmost management level, if they just look into the data, if they just look into the reports, they get to know, and accordingly they can take further decisions. It's all into making more profits. Decisions are made as such to provide, and even companies like you would have heard about companies like Kia, Hyundai, etc., which are sister companies,
Yeah.
in fact, from Korean. Just to give example, I'm saying
Yeah.
when they have these franchises given to different people, they start ranking
Okay.
them, saying that among top 10 you are in this position, and so on and so position. That is only to tell them that your sales should increase in order to give them the rank card in that way. So it is into making more profits with the data, whichever is more efficiently working. They set them as model or example for the rest of the people, and that is quite common in any sort of business to gain more profits with the investments what they have made. Well, this is to know the real-time data, to make it very simple, and it is possible
Okay.
with SAP. And the SAP
Okay.
has different. Yeah, are you asking something?
Yeah, nothing.
Okay, so the SAP
Yeah.
has a different set of modules which are majorly classified as technical, functional, and techno-functional. So technical module, as you told, it needs programming knowledge, ABAP, advanced business
Okay.
application programming. That is into
Okay.
technical. Of course, it's not my cup. I don't know much to say on that. That is helpful to
Okay.
take out the reports more and to have some configuration settings with the programs to make some new views available, new options available with certain programs. So that's what ABAPers do. And most of the workbench tools, what you have to dig out the reports from the tables. See, SAP is system of having this data in a particular way in different tables being saved as the data in all these tables which are meant for them. Like material table, it stores all the data of materials. Similarly, customer,
Okay.
vendor, and so on. So it will be storing the
Okay.
data. It will provide you whatever you need. And
Okay.
ABAPers work on that, in fact, to be very particular. Whereas functional modules, the modules whatever I have written there, FICO, finance, controlling, materials management, production planning, quality management, plant maintenance, warehouse management, sales and distribution. So finance,
Okay.
you need finance for any sort of business. You need to maintain
Yes.
a balance sheet. You should have particular accounts. You should get into some credits, debits, every day-to-day business, whatever is happening. You need to register that. For that, finance is, of course, mandatory. Well,
Okay.
materials management, we deal with materials vendors mostly and procurement part. As consultants, we need to do the configurations required for that as consultants, and also we involve in procurement part where we need to purchase some materials, purchasing organization through which procurement will be made depending upon the requirement of the materials. So all related to that, goods, receipt, inventory management, then invoice and so on. So
Okay.
as far as is considered, I'll go in depth little later in a short while. PP is
Okay.
production planning. Now, production planning, see, sales and distribution team, they often are in contact with customers. Either they are going
Okay.
to deliver the goods for the customers or they are bringing in orders from the customers. This is what SD do. Quality
Okay. Okay.
maintenance, yeah, once they get in the order, the production
Uh-huh.
planning, if it is a production company manufacturing, see in business, you can think about either you are going to make something or you are going to
Okay.
buy a finished good, add profit, and sell it out. You are not into infrastructure for production. You simply purchase it from somebody, add your profit, and sell. This is what you
Okay.
can do. Or apart from these two, you are into service. So any sort of business, if you just think, you can have very broad classification as such. Either you are going to manufacture it on your own, or you purchase from somebody, buy or make. This is major what you do in manufacturing related things, and you are going to provide service for something. So that is into the service sector, manufacturing service. This is what
Service.
majorly you
Okay.
do. If you are into manufacturing, you need this production planning. So based on sales orders, the planning team, they are going to plan for production purpose, and whatever materials are required for production, they raise purchase requisitions which will be sent to purchasing organizations, part of so they get it through vendors. So we engage more with vendors, SD engage with customers, PP will produce. Quality management is to test the quality. Plant maintenance is to look after the plant, the operations being done there. Warehouse management is to have a proper account of stock, how much you have received, how many materials are processed, is a semi-finished, finished, and so on, to look after that warehouse management. There are techno-functional modules like HANA, extended warehouse management, supply chain management, and so on. So this is about the classification of modules. Now moving
Okay.
on,
And one more thing. And this one BI will come under which module?
it is also into
BI.
functional.
HCM as well, right?
Yeah, process industry you are asking, right?
Human capital management and business intelligence, something like that.
Yeah. See, there is one more thing which is called basis.
Oh,
So,
yes, yes.
yes.
That is
So,
technical, right?
yes, technical. The purpose is what they do is they are going to assign you certain username, password, and with HR, whatever projects are assigned to you, for that extent,
Mm-hmm.
you will not be allowed to access all these screens. They are going to block it for users. In real time, we have this power users, end users, and power users, and below that, in fact, if at all it is only for, I'll tell you the roles in a short while. We'll look into that as well. If it's only for service purpose, it is again a different role. So in this way, in order to have those constraints, we have other modules also. I have taken a few major modules in order to explain. Well,
Okay.
proceeding,
Yeah.
I have just written this FIMMST. So
Okay.
FIMMST are core part of any business without which it cannot proceed. Of course, ABAP also will be there. But as far as
Okay.
functionality is concerned, you will have to procure something and you will have to sell. So
Yeah.
certainly you will have to meet vendors and customers. For that, you need MMST. It will be integral part, and FI also, without which business cannot run. Most of the business, they need this. Now coming to the next topic, which is ASAP methodology. This is to tell how a project starts and ends, and what are the different roles what we have in this. So in ASAP methodology, it is called accelerated SAP. See,
Okay.
I have just taken an illustration of Incel and Plastics Group. Let us assume
Okay.
that Plastics Group come to Incel. They ask
Okay.
us, we are running certain business for which we need SAP server to be developed.
Okay.
We would like to deploy ECC, SAP MySAP. So they want that. With that intention, they approach Incel. Now, Incel, what it does, it calls for a team of 8 to 10 members nearly, headed
Okay.
by a team leader or project manager. So this 8 to 10, what I have mentioned, they will include all these ABAP, MMSD, FICO, and others as well. They include all.
Okay.
And this team, their job is to start working for Plastics Group. We have 5 different phases in this ASAP methodology, starting from project preparation stage. It is at documentation level. So initially, we would like to try understanding what is the kind of business Plastics Group is carrying on with, and we would like to know how business is running, which is called business as is, and what is their requirement, that is as to be, that is the requirement, and we would like to analyze what is the gap between these two, what is that we need to bridge. So that is called gap analysis. This, at times, you will have to stay back at client's place. You have to gather a lot of information, types of materials they are dealing with, types of vendors they are dealing with. Few can be domestic vendors, few can be foreign, few can be interstate, and so on. So we'll have to get to know about what kind of business they are into. Gathering this information will take a lot of time. Once you gather this
Okay.
information, it has to be put in a proper format, which is nothing but business blueprint, development of blueprint. So you are supposed to develop a blueprint which will be specific for different modules like MM. You are going to configure things which are required for uh, procurement process generally, like types of materials being used, what are their units, what are the different plants at which they are working, how many storage locations they have, how many purchasing organizations they have, if at all they are working with centralized purchasing organization one, or is it decentralized, separate for every plant, and so on. So this is something what you will be looking into as far as MM, even including pricing procedure, release strategy. These are few core topics of MM. However, in finance, they look into different types of currencies, different types of tables and accounts, ledgers, etc. They look into that. Sales and distribution into distribution channel, divisions, sales organization, then different customers, how to meet them, shipping instructions, and so on. They look into those aspects. Production planning, conversion of production orders, planned orders, MRP, materials requirement planning, planning run, schedule, routing, and so on. They look into that proper sequence of operations and so on. They look into that production. So likewise, every module will have its own task to work on. And ABAPers, they look into if at all they need any new sort of screens to be developed, programmed, and so on. Here we have two terms. One is configuration, other is customization. Customization is as per client's requirement, and configuration is what we have as standard, which is available. So this blueprint will be developed, and will slowly start with configuring and customizing those things as per the client's need. Once you do it, then next phase is called realization phase, where we have baseline configuration, main configuration, integration. This baseline and main configuration again is very specific to module, and integration is very much required, because if you purchase some material, we'll say that it is credited into material account or inventory. So you need to make some payment to the vendor. So that has to reflect to the finance people saying that so and so payment is pending for the vendor. Once they make payments, then again, when you are trying to place an order, you should also get to know that yes, payment is made. There is no pending for this particular vendor, no pendency. And yeah, when you are going to get some orders from SD, so if you are selling it out to customers, then so and so stock has gone out, and customers should make the payment. So this has to again reflect in finance, reflect for MM. When you purchase some materials, PP should get to know that they have enough stock to proceed with. They always operate on safety stock limit. So likewise, all these things should get integrated, and that is the purpose of having SAP, or else it will not be of that beneficial product what is expected to be. So these three stages: documentation level and blueprint, then realization. Until this extent, you are developing the server. So because of which it is called development server. Once you
Okay.
develop this, you put it on quality test. Then from client end, clients will appear or their representatives will appear. They'll just check thoroughly whether it is working for their need or not, whether it is meeting their requirement or not. If they are satisfied, then you need to
Okay.
prepare user acceptance test report. You are supposed to prepare user manuals, and you need to train them to work on this whatever you have developed. So that training, user manuals, and these things will be done during this stage, final preparation we call it. And the server is called quality server when it is put on quality test. Once it passes the quality test, once you provide training, all this is done, then they take the server as production server. It is called production. So development, quality, production. There you need to support, to go live and support. Business will run as usual at Plastics Group. So they may come across some queries when they start working on real time. Then they'll just send those queries to you as tickets. It's called ticket.
Yeah.
Just a minute.
Yeah.
Hello, then the meeting then. So it is called ticket. You need to resolve them based on the priority. And once you resolve it, they'll further continue. So there can be some understanding at management level that for 1 year, 6 months, or even beyond, you are going to provide them some support on fixing such tickets. And later on, you may charge. That depends on business understanding. That is between managements, where as consultants, the two at level 1 or 2 will not have much say or involvement. However, in this, whatever has been explained, most of the times we are not directly speaking to clients. We get some information through this project manager or team leader. They'll put on
Okay.
us on some task. We need to just continue with that. As a result, what happens? So these two phases, project preparation and blueprint development, we may not be much involved in that. The senior consultants and also team manager, they may come out with that, and they'll provide you the job what you need to do. So most of the times it so happens we directly start working from realization phase, where we work on these configurations and further integration and proceed so on. Well, coming to this entire methodology, if you can just make a rough guess, Venkat, how long should this take?
Uh, for the completion of a project,
Yes.
actually, I think it might take up to, depending upon, it will take up to 2 to 3 months.
No, it will go much beyond that. It may take nearly
6.
8 to 10 months or even beyond a year. See,
Oh,
the reason being, to come out with blueprint itself, it will take a few months because you need to gather a lot
okay.
of information. So it will take few
Okay.
months. Okay. And thus,
Okay.
as a result, it may take nearly 8 to 10 months or may go a bit beyond that. Well, this is
So
about,
it will be like yearly, one project can be done, right?
yeah, yearly and more than a year, 1.5 years, or it may extend because of this
Okay.
service related things, it can extend a bit more also. Well, coming to your
Okay.
roles now, see, if you are involved, if you are working at Incel, hope you
Mhm.
are acquainted with terms like payroll company, client, third party, etc.
Yes, yes, yes. I
So,
have heard
what's
about it.
your
Yeah.
payroll company? If they ask, who is providing you the payment? So, you are working at
Actually,
Incel.
yeah.
So, who
Okay.
is your client? If they ask, it is Plastics Group. Now, if there is
Okay. Yes.
anybody in between, then it becomes
Mediator.
third party. Okay,
Yeah. Mediator will be third party. Yeah.
it becomes third party. You are being outsourced by somebody else. Well, however, if you are at Incel, if you have
Mm-hmm.
worked from first phase to go live and support, then it is called
Uh-huh.
E to E, end to end. E to E is the term used. End to end, end-to-end implementation project, we call. How many implementation projects have you done as E2E? If somebody asks you, or probably in job description also, they may say we need 2 E2E projects done, kind of thing. So if they are expecting 2 E2E, that simply means you should have 4+ years of experience. Nobody will directly put you on implementation project as a fresher. They may take you as support or end user, then slowly they'll put you into implementation as well. So that will take nearly 6 months or so. So if they ask 2 implementation projects, then nearly 4+ years of experience. That's what they are looking at. So that's how calculation works. Well, if you are, let us assume that you are working at Plastics Group, you don't know about this implementation and other things. You got trained during this phase and you start working on the prepared SAP server, then you are called end user. You are not into configuration, you are not into any implementation part of that. You directly start working on whatever training has been given to you, then you are called end user. You are working at Plastics Group. Now you can still work at Incel, but as a senior person, you may not be involved much into the project, but you will be asked to support in resolving the tickets. So then it is called support project or rollout project. So you are into support, you are resolving tickets. So these are the different major roles what you have once you get trained. And moreover, there can be some requirements like a testing consultant, they may simply say. Actually, that term is not there. If at all they want you only for testing purpose, they'll call you, okay, testing about the integration testing and so on. They'll simply call you for testing purpose. It's not a quality test here. It is, yeah, of course, but it is not into like material testing. It is about whatever has been developed to test that whether it is working fine or not. Yes, to that extent, they'll call you as testing consultant and so on. So these are the major roles what you'll be having in SAP.
And one second, and if I have a doubt, so if he completed a project, for example, in 1 year, and sometimes the client will be having some queries, right? He will be asking for tickets. If I am in supporting, again, I need to work there for another 6-7 months.
No, you are not going to work on only one project when you are on resolving tickets. See, resolving tickets is like if you know the idea of configuration and if you know how these things are integrated, it's about to get to know what has happened by looking at the error and fixing them. It's not that you need to stay there. That depends. You see, if it is demanding more configuration relook, that means configuration has not been done properly. Or there was something missing during blueprint or documentation level itself. Some part was
that
missing.
Will be done by ABAP people, right?
No, that depends on what was missing. Okay. See, for example, they gave you some Plastics Group, gave you some project you started working on. By the time you were about to complete the entire implementation, they would have opened 2 more plants, let us assume. Okay. In that case, that has to be also incorporated, right? 2 more plants they have taken, and they started working with that. They would have gone for furthermore machinery purchasing and so on. Like that, if there are any other things parallelly happening, which are to be included as part of project, then it may extend another 4 or 5 months or so, depending on what has happened actually. Well, if it is into some new screens, what they would like to see, new reports, what they want, that is for ABAPers to do, who don't have much load. And if there is anything to be integrated again, then they'll call you, or else no. Fine. That's how it works. So these are the different roles what you have once you get trained on SAP. Well, thank you for your time, Prajwal. I'll just continue.
Yeah, I was revising those things.
Yeah, actually, we had a session very recently, one day before, where I had told all these things, and he gave a patient listening again. Well, to proceed with, see, we have something called enterprise structure. I don't know whether I'll be able to, it may not be possible to cover this completely. However, no problem. Initially, there may be some process delay, but still, once we understand things properly, then we'll proceed with the proper plan. We can expedite, not an issue. See, we have enterprise structure, and there is an hierarchy in enterprise structure. I'll provide you some theoretical information when I take up any topic. You need to make a note of it, and then I'll proceed with parallel demonstration of the same.
Okay. Okay. So jot down right now.
Yeah, you will have to. You will have to.
1 minute.
Rajula, ಹೇಳಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು are you saying something?
No, nothing. I was listening, and I started note downing enterprise structures. And
Okay.
1 minute, just yeah. I'm just taking my book.
See, we have nearly 2.5 minutes. Once the time expires, we'll connect again.
okay.
For some more time, we'll connect. Let me know once you are ready.
Okay. Yeah.
Fine, we shall proceed.
Yeah.
You can write down this organizational structure. Organizational structure.
Okay.
Is a hierarchy. Is a hierarchy.
Okay.
That represents the units of organization. The units of organization.
Okay.
And the relationships between them. This provides the information.
Okay.
About the roles and responsibilities. Of each organizational unit. Written?
1 minute. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just disconnect. I'll disconnect, we'll connect back.
Yeah.
Same ID.